Welcome everyone to Politics NY's newest video interview series, In the Community With, sponsored by AARP. My name is Elizabeth Schneps-Aloni, and today we are in the community with Council Member Francisco Moya. Council Member Francisco Moya represents Council District 1, which includes East Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, Left Rock City, and Corona. Welcome, Council Member Moya.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So I wanted to get started with your sharing with us, what is one of your accomplishments during the past year that you're most proud of? I know you've had many, but just give us one you're most proud of. For
sure. I mean, just recently we made an announcement with the mayor on the redevelopment of Willets Point. I'm extremely proud of what we've done to get there. This has been something that I've been working on my entire career, to bring a soccer stadium to Queens.
Yes, look behind you.
Yeah, and I'm a very big soccer fan, as most people know, but this is something that I've been working on for years, even in my days as an assembly member. And I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to bring in such a great partnership here, where it's privately funded, the soccer stadium. We're going to be building, like I said, a brand new neighborhood. This is legacy right here. 2,500 units of affordable housing. 220 of those are going to go to senior housing. We're going to have a school. We're going to be able to build out the green space for the community, but the job creation, the economics that's coming in here for Queens itself is going to be something very historic. The fact that we're in the middle of a housing crisis right now, to be able to bring 2,500 units of affordable housing, 100% of that being affordable, online now is pretty incredible. One of the things that I really was adamant about with the developers and the soccer team was that we needed to put the housing first. And, you know, we've done the remediation already for the first part of Willets Point. And, you know, if everything goes well, we can be, you know, shovels in the ground as early as next spring, which would be something really great. And when you look at a project of this magnitude, where, you know, you can get a sports franchise to build an arena here with private funding, no cost to the taxpayer, build it 100% union labor, really come in and say to the community, we want to be part of this. It was great to have partners with NYCFC and the joint venture that is related in Sterling that are developing the housing piece here. But we're going to be creating about 16,000 jobs during construction of this site, $54 million annually in revenue towards the city while it's being constructed, and throughout the duration of the lease that the soccer team will have. We're talking about $6 billion in revenue to the city of New York. That's pretty, you know, amazing that we can do something like this, where we truly show how the private and public partnership can really help. If we look at all the sports arenas that have come in and the teams that are here, they've always received, you know, some type of financing from the city, bonding issues, tax breaks here. That's not what's happening here. And I think that it also shows and demonstrates the commitment from the soccer club to the community, to the borough of Queens, that says, look, we're here to be part of this community. We want to do right by New Yorkers. And I think that when you can find that right partnership, it really is something like, you know, as historic as this is. And I always joke, because it's like, you know, you read about the ashes of Willets Point in The Great Gatsby. Right. Decades and decades of looking at this area that was just considered, you know, a dumping ground, or, you know, just the auto body shops that were there. You know, this is now going to be a brand new neighborhood that's being built. You know, that hasn't happened in New York City in over 40 years.
That's very exciting, very exciting. So I have a question from our sponsors in AARP, and you did mention about housing for those, over 65, which is great. The question I have is around the city's Department of Aging. It supports a wide range of programs designed for older residents. Currently, it receives approximately 0.05% of the budget, despite the fact that 20% of city residents are over 65. So what are you going to prioritize in the next New York City budget to ensure more resources go to that population? And in what specific programs will you increase investment?
Well, look, I think it's really important as we see, not just in my district, but throughout the city, that we have a very big need to really increase services for our aging population here in the city of New York. But it comes to like three different programs where, I would focus in on, just based on the level of constituent cases or questions that we have gotten throughout the years. Part of that is the expanded in-home services for the elderly program, which provides coordinated package of in-home and other types of supportive services that are designed to supplement, for the needs that some of the senior population may have. We want to be able to expand that and continue to provide those services. Also, the community services for the elderly, which is a program that is a community-based supportive services for older adults who need assistance to maintain their independence at home. And we found that this community services for the elderly has really worked very well. Now, as a matter of fact, I was in Elm Court Senior Center in East Elmhurst the other day, and the seniors were raving about that program, and they were very happy that it's back in the district post pandemic. It's one of the things that they really saw that it was really working for them. And then also the wellness and nutrition program, which includes home delivery meals, because not only did the pandemic shed a light on the fact that we have so many elderly folks that are in need of having services that they have to rely on when they couldn't leave their homes and get their one meal that they may get at the senior center. The food disparity was very clear there. This also is one that benefits them in the type of nutrition that they get, which is something very necessary for our seniors to have, a good diet and have the accessibility to that type of meals. Those programs really are effective, especially for a lot of our seniors that may be homebound. We saw that was a program that really was needed, and something that I want to continue to be supportive of in our for our senior population.
Great, that's fantastic. So let me jump ahead to 2023 and thinking about 2023, which we're all on the cusp of. What is your top goal for your community in 2023?
Well, look, I think that we are in the midst of an affordable housing crisis that we face here in the city of New York. We have to look at how we're going to bring affordable housing to the community. As I spoke to you earlier about the level of affordable housing, 100% affordable housing that is now coming to this community because of the development that we're having at Willets Point. It's really critical for that focus to stay there. We know that what we need to do is to really ensure also that the funding for our students here in my district, which is one of the most overcrowded districts in the entire city of New York, when it comes to our schools, it's critical that we are getting all of that funding that comes here. One of the things that we saw again during the pandemic, because we have a lot of ELL learners, a lot of students that have just arrived to this country. We saw that the need for real attention to not only more teachers being put in the classrooms, but the ability to get the actual necessary support in those classrooms to help these kids. Two things came out of this. One, we see that we have a lot of special needs students here. The issue was really came to light during the pandemic when there was a need for teachers to actually be present when dealing with kids with special needs. They couldn't do that at home. And then we also know that at home, there was a couple of issues there, right? Connectivity, right? The digital divide was very clear. Two, the kids are acting as translators for the parents. So it's very difficult for a parent to be able to, help when you're a newly arrived student in this country. For me, it really comes down to the fixing our housing crisis that we have here in the city. It's really making sure that we are fighting for every single dollar that needs to come to our schools in this district to help, the community that needs it the most. I'm going to throw out one of my schools out here, and it's a shout out to PS 143. They are a great school, the Louis Armstrong school here in Corona, Queens. They have over 1,600 students. Most of them are newly arrived students that have just come up in the last few months. The school is doing everything it can. They have a great principal, Principal Lucas, who's doing a wonderful job. And all of my principals throughout the districts do great work. I'm just using this as an example of how we're seeing how we have to adjust year by year with the circumstances that we face as a city. No one anticipated that we were going to have an increase in so many migrants that were coming up from the border that we are now going to have to absorb into the shelter system, but also the kids that came into our school system here, right? Which really creates a real need for us in districts like mine that have already dealing with overcrowded schools, right? We can build 10 schools, and School Construction Authority has done a great job in building these schools, in an expedient manner. But unless we're not getting those resources to the schools that need it the most, with the right programming and giving them the tools that they need, we're never going to succeed in helping these kids get a good education. And for me, that's key. I was born and raised in this community. That to me is something that I want to make sure that these kids, get. And then I'll end it with this. I also am a firm believer in helping our very taxed healthcare system. I represent Elmhurst Hospital. I'm proud to say that I was born at Elmhurst Hospital. I worked at Elmhurst Hospital, and I represented Elmhurst Hospital throughout my career. And we know that they are it's only 2 public hospitals that we have in the borough of Queens. Elmhurst is one of them, but Elmhurst is the gateway for every immigrant family that is living in the borough, but it's also for everyone that doesn't have health insurance. They utilize that hospital. We need to make the right investments in order to protect our community, and a community that is a highly immigrant community that needs to have these resources to access to good quality healthcare is going to be key for the success of anything that we do as a city itself.
Fantastic. So education, and you mentioned healthcare, and another issue that I want to bring up, a question from our sponsor AARP is about ageism, because it does permeate all aspects of life for New York residents, from ageism in the workplace, how we design streets and public transportation systems, how services are promoted and accessed, to our built environment, and really more. So what's one ageism issue that has an impact on your community, and how would you address it?
I think part of this is, and it all comes down to housing at this point, right? Because we have such a large number of seniors in this community. They can't afford to live in this community anymore. They're getting priced out. Bringing in senior housing is critical for folks to continue to live in the neighborhood that they've known their entire lives. When they have to compete with everyone else to get into affordable housing or into a lottery system, that's problematic. And that's why I fought very hard to have a certain number, a couple of hundred units of affordable housing that is going to be strictly for seniors coming online at Willets Point, which is very key. But the other thing is that we saw that there's also a big need in terms of resources that we have to bring to the community. And I'm proud to say that, we're going to be making an announcement in the next couple of weeks, the opening of a new senior center in Lefrak City. It was a campaign promise that I made when I first ran for the council. It's finally done, and we're looking forward to having our senior community be able to have those services in an area that needs it. Lefrak City has about 22,000 residents that live there. No senior centers there. We have a large senior population. It was something that I wanted to make sure that we bring in a state-of-the-art senior center that's been built out. It's going to be great for the seniors in my community, and I think this is kind of the ways that we look at how we can tackle these issues that our seniors are facing, right now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Was that a scoop that you just announced?
I just gave you a scoop.
Fantastic. That's wonderful news. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Councilmember Francisco Moya. Thank you for your time with us and got to learn a little bit more about how you're supporting the community. Have a great
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye.